online, irlonestar.com.
God's Garage is a 501c3 that repairs and gives away cars for free to single moms, widows, and wives of deployed military. You can help God's Garage by donating a vehicle, volunteering your time, or by monetary donation. God's Garage is located at 2106 East Davis, Conroe. If you'd like to learn more about God's Garage, visit our website at godsgarage.org. Or you can contact us and we would be glad to come and make a presentation to your group.
You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com. Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com. Well, we're broadcasting live again today from the studios of Lone Star Community Radio, which is located in Conroe, Texas, one of the fastest growing cities currently in our country. So it's a great place to be and to talk about business. And that's what we're going to do today. First of all, though, that reminder I give every week at 11:05 as we kick the show off is the show is being broadcast live on YouTube and Facebook. So you can go to either one of those sources, go to the Weekly Business Hour page, click, and you can watch as well as listen to the show live. Well, I'm going to jump right into a discussion. I think we're going to have a great conversation with our guest. She's on a little bit of a short time schedule, and we're going to honor that. But I want to introduce Dr. Carla Alsandor, who's the Senior Director of University of St. Thomas MAX Center. University of St. Thomas is a well-known, longtime part of the Houston community, and they've opened a facility here. I hate to use the word remote because that just sort of sounds downstream a little bit, but it is a separate campus here on the corner that I believe is the best corner in the entire city. You've got the spot there, Carla. It's just amazing. But they provide a wide array of educational opportunities. A lot of them relate directly to business, others or things like creative writing, which I was a student of that class, which taught me how to be a better business writer. It improved the way that I did those things. But anyway, long introduction. But welcome, Carla, to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. That was a great introduction.
Well, you've got a great, and this is a personal opinion, but it is echoed by many others that I know, a great opportunity for the people here in Conroe, Montgomery County to get informed, to get education, classes and whatnot, and also, I guess, as a place to go to get connected with part of the educational programs at University of St. Thomas.
Exactly, and I agree with you. We're in the best location that you can imagine, right there at the corner of North Main and West Davis Street in the heart of downtown Conroe, where everything is booming and happening around us. It gives us such great visibility in the community, which is the main reason that we selected that location and set up our micro campus there, is so that we could interact with the community, for them to get to know us and for us to get to know what the community needs and wants in the way of higher education.
Now, I picked up on that word micro campus. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to me as, say, a business owner here in the Montgomery County Conroe community?
What it means is it provides us with the opportunity to bring what we do in Houston, as you said, at our main campus, here to Montgomery County, so that residents are able to explore and take advantage of some of those higher educational opportunities without having to worry about commuting into the city to do it. We are a micro campus, as you well know, having been there a number of times. It's small with the one classroom space, but that's our starting point. You know, as part of our phase one operations here, we just wanted a very visible location so that we could market and recruit into our existing online programs that are being offered from the main campus for the undergraduate and graduate level programs that we currently offer. But as you know and have mentioned, we do offer some things in person as well, and we'll just continue to grow from here. But it's so important for us to listen to what the community needs and wants as we continue to develop the next phase of our operations.
Well, let me ask you, you've got this campus, you've been here, what, about 2 years?
Yes, that's right.
Right? What brought you to this campus? I mean, give us a little bit of your business background.
Okay, sure. I was an employee of the University of St. Thomas at the time that we started this project, this innovation project of launching a microcampus. I was the director of alumni relations for the university. And then COVID happened. And so everyone was working from home. I live here in Montgomery County. And so since I live very close to here, I offered to see what I could do to help with the build out, because we did continue the build out of USTMAX all through COVID, the early stages of COVID. And so it was easy for me to pop up here and help out with that project as it was going on. And so one thing led to another, and I became more and more involved in what we were doing with the USTMAX Center, while also continuing on with my responsibilities in alumni relations. But it got to the point where we needed a full-time director to launch and direct the facility, and the opportunity was presented to me, and I was very honored to be asked and happy to take on this new challenge, knowing that we would be able to hire in someone else to do the alumni relations part, which continues to be very important to me, just to maintaining strong relationships with all of those who have been students at UST in the past and wanting to keep them involved with the university. And this is nice because I'm able to still engage with some of the alumni relations, if you will, here at the USTMAX Center, because we have quite a few alums who live in Montgomery County and have gotten involved with us in one way or another.
You mentioned that you are have a nice carryover of your background experience in alumni relations, but as the director of this center, what are some of the other primary responsibilities you have?
Yeah, so my responsibilities primarily are in continuing to move forward all the initiatives that the university has in the way of expanding our reach into Montgomery County. And so that, of course, means a lot of marketing and networking and event coordination there at the center so that we can invite more and more people to come and see what we have going on here and what we plan to do in the future as well. So just anything and everything related to the USTMAX Center, that's under my area of responsibility, and I enjoy the community and the relations that I'm able to build here in Conroe specifically, but all throughout Montgomery County. I had recently a great meeting with the folks at iSchool High at the University Center, learning a little bit more about what they do and how we might be able to have some articulation agreements when their students get ready to go to the next phase of their education. And we are very involved with the Conroe Independent School District, all the area independent school districts actually, that could potentially feed into the university.
You know, it's interesting because the 2 years, your timing, and obviously maybe COVID had something to do with what's happened, but the growth, as you alluded to earlier, in downtown Conroe is just amazing. Mm-hmm. Properties being bought, refurbished, torn down, businesses open, mainly restaurants, but the whole county, the entire county, you just drive around, it's just blowing up. Real estate, I mean, is the obvious to the eye. What do you see as this growth? I mean, I always ask a question, what do you think about the growth of Montgomery County? Are we going to keep at it, or are we reaching a peak? What do you think about the growth?
It doesn't seem to me that we're reaching the peak yet. The growth is amazing. I recently had a meeting with Danielle Shiner from the Conroe Economic Development Council in her office, and she shared with me this amazing map that she has there on her wall that shows the different areas and the aspects of development that are underway and the future opportunities for development. Although I agree with you, according to what she showed me, there's not a whole lot of space left for actual development to happen. But currently in progress, there's both housing and industrial manufacturing development going on here. And we saw that. We saw that that was the direction that was happening for Montgomery County as, Houston continues to expand and grow, and people are looking for those opportunities not too far from the city but not in the city. And it made sense for us to try to become a part of that.
You mentioned one thing I see, because I was born and raised in Houston, Harris County, and when you cross the county lines, so to speak, this is not really a growth connected to Houston. It's independent. I mean, the Woodlands was independent, in my opinion, and the growth in Conroe and other parts of Montgomery County, in some ways, I find it like two different worlds almost of what's happened. Harris County maturing, had a lot of growth over a lot of years. I don't know what their growth projection. I just got a copy of one of the most recent forecasts and hadn't had a chance to look at it. But this is just exciting growth.
Yes.
Like Harris County used to be 20, 30 years ago. I mean, that's my experience.
Yeah, in the dozen or so years that I've lived in this area, I've certainly seen a lot of it as well, but not nearly as much as you've seen. But I understand what you're saying, and that makes sense to me too, that the areas have grown in their own ways independently of each other. But of course, the more we grow, the closer to each other we get. And there's
obviously
certainly
physically,
crossover there,
yeah.
and physically, but also just in the business community, in the business world, the crossovers between what's happening in Harris County and what's happening in Montgomery County.
A lot of exciting things. Of course, there is a connection with Spring, Texas, because the Exxon campus is technically in Spring, and
Yes.
So yes, there is. But this is exciting growth. Again, all over the county, Montgomery, Willis. I mean, Conroe is just out there, and all those communities will be, I believe, physically as well as many other ways connected to what's happening here. So it's amazing to me. Well, let's talk a little bit about the calendar of some of the things you would offer me as a business owner, business manager, someone who is involved in business. What are some of the current things that you're offering or already have had in January, one of which I know about?
Yes, that we just had our most recent Lunch and Learn for January. We do that on a quarterly basis. So the first one of this new year, we thought we'd kick off 2023 by focusing in on how we can elevate our plates for good nutrition and for good energy as we go through our work days. And I thought it was a great presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of UST's own, Natalie Sessions, came, and she's a registered dietitian and nutritionist, and she came and spoke with us. And we had a nutritious lunch buffet, I think I could call it, where you could build your own salad, and it came along with a really nice side of soup. We purposely did not offer dessert because one of Natalie's key points in her presentation was, stop and think about what those menus need to look like when you're preparing a luncheon at work or a business meeting of some sort. Do you always have to offer dessert, or would the fruit that comes along with the entree suffice? Which is what we did, just as in an exemplary way. But it was a great session. I'm working on our next one for the next quarter, and I want to bring up one of our professors to tell us about the metaverse. I think that's going to be
very interesting.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good one as well. It's just becoming more and more of a reality. And I think as business people, we need to know what that's all about.
Absolutely. I can see that becoming a big part of business ultimately. Don't know about the timing. It may be further in the future than a lot of folks think and hope. But
well, with technology advancing at the rapid rate that it does, it always has advanced at a rapid rate, but it's even more so now. I mean, because everything's just compounding upon itself in a very, very rapid pace. And so it may not be that far away.
Well, I recall real quickly a story. I was on a board of directors of a bank many, many years ago, and on the north side of Houston was the main location. They had several around town, and in the directors' meetings, we'd discuss basically what became ATMs. So they were discussing, how do you market, how do you, because this is happening. And it took a good 10 years after that discussion was started before it became kind of mainstream. I mean, the bank was working towards something and was supportive, but it was just acceptance. Now today, money-wise, it's all about having a card versus cash. And cash is not accepted in some places. And it's just interesting. So I just think that a lot of this, yes, the technology we can have, but are people going to accept it? And what does that look like?
What does it look like? And I think that's going to be the key for adopting, these new technologies and new ways of doing things. But I suppose if we don't try to keep up, we're going to be left behind. So
Well, tell us about some other things you have on your calendar the next couple months.
So we also do luminary lectures. Those are done on a quarterly basis as well. And we bring up professors from the university. Sometimes if it's related to the church or, some sort of a Catholic background, we might have some of the area clergy coming to talk about something. But the people that we bring in as our guest speakers are giving us information in areas of expertise, things that they really know a lot about. So the next luminary lecture I'm excited to announce is going to be at the end of March. It's coming up at the end of this first quarter. Dr. Dominic Aquila is coming to talk about Dante's Divine Comedy. And Dante, he's a Dante expert, and he's going to tell us all about that literary work, the trilogy of the Divine Comedy. And it ties in very nicely with that time of the year because we're entering the Lenten season, and he will draw those parallels between what Dante was writing about in the Divine Comedy, which can be a bit of a mystery, I think, for most of us, unless we've actually studied it, as Dr. Aquila has extensively, and written about it and whatnot. So since it can be sort of a mystery, I think this will be really nice because he'll be able to explain it to us all, and he's such a good presenter. Very engaging, and so I look forward to introducing him to this local community. I think people will really enjoy that opportunity. And all of these opportunities are free and open to the public, and so we invite everyone to come. This one we know will have a larger size group than what I can accommodate at the USTMAX Center. We have a great partnership with Sacred Heart Parish right here, the church, and their Parish Life Center, which is across the street from the church. They have a number of different spaces in there that accommodate various size groups, and so they partner with us on a regular basis, and so this luminary lecture will be at Sacred Heart in their Parish Life Center. And so I invite everyone to come.
That's a great connection to have and have that backup.
Yeah.
Well, as we wind down this conversation, you mentioned you're in phase one. When I hear one, I think about two. Can you share anything with us
Sure.
about two?
Okay, I'd be happy to. Thank you for asking that question. First of all, phase one, I wanted to mention to anyone, since this is a business program, folks might be interested in knowing that we are currently, as part of phase one, offering certification programs within the medical field. So if anyone is interested in starting a new career in phlebotomy or medical office assisting EKG technicians, billing and coding specialists, all those types of certifications that you can get to work in the healthcare field, you can do that at USTMAX Center. We have those courses being offered right now. So that's part of phase one, and I'd be happy to have anyone contact us for more information. Phase two, very exciting. We are in the process of developing a new undergraduate program that will be in-person, cohort-style education geared toward recent high school graduates that want to continue on into higher education, but in a cohort style and a block format, which means that we'll be taking one class at a time in a condensed manner. You come to school every day, you get that one class done in less than a month, and then you have a little short break and you start your next class. And so you still go through and you get all of the credits required to receive a bachelor's degree, but we're going to offer it in a different way. It's new, it's innovative. We are an innovation project, and so we want to offer this as a new way of doing higher ed.
That is very interesting.
Yes.
And it's funny you point that out. That's the innovation, the need to adjust and to always be thinking at least about where are we going to be tomorrow. A real challenge for most everybody in what they do.
It's true. More and more students of today, they have competing priorities. Even though they very much want to achieve that higher education, they have family and other personal things that are pulling them in other directions. And so we recognize that people need to work, they need to take care of family members. We want to provide a program that's going to allow them to still go to school while meeting all those commitments that they have as well.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, thank
Any
you.
idea when that's going to roll out?
Well, I'm hesitant to give you an actual
Okay,
start
I
date
understand.
because I thought we might have been a little further along than we are, but we're really taking this seriously and crossing our T's and dotting our I's to make sure that everything is set up in a way that is going to be sustainable and successful, that we can market and recruit students into. So we'll see, maybe.
So stay tuned, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to say when, but we're getting closer and closer by the day.
Well, Carla, I can't thank you enough for taking time in your busy day to come and kind of give us some background, a little bit of information, currently what's available. It sounds like you called it USTMAX.
Yes.
I guess that's sort of the abbreviated form. University of St. Thomas Max Center, downtown Conroe, a great place to connect with local education and lots of opportunities to take classes or lunch and learns, I guess is a more formal way. And I've been to a couple and they're great. I've enjoyed them. Different topics.
It's always good to have you there with us. And don't forget, we have masters in business, we have masters of science in finance, masters of science in accounting, and all of those are offered 100% online. So if any business folks out there are looking to go to that next step in their education, we'd be happy to talk to them about that.
That's fantastic. If someone wants to contact you or the school, without physically going to the location, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would suggest that people first go to our website, USTMAX.com. It's USTMAX.com. They can follow us on social media at USTMAX Center. And we are very active with our postings, and so that'll keep folks up to date on what's going on. And of course, on the website, you'll find our email address and our phone number, and we're there to help. So we hope people will reach out and contact us.
Well, it's a great resource for our community, and I hope folks listening will take advantage of it sooner than later. Yeah. Well, what's coming up the second half of the show? Let me give you a quick rundown. First of all, we're going to have a quick thought entitled, How Do You Market Problem Solving? And then we're going to go to the mailbag. We had an email from Carl, and he asked, and I think this is a very important question in the world we're dealing with, what should I be doing as far as wages? Walmart raised their entry-level wage to $14. We start entry-level employees at $10. I can't afford to continue raising starting pay, as then you have to raise your existing people. What should I do? And we'll address that. And I've got a couple ideas that maybe could help Carl and I think probably a lot of other people. And we'll finish out the day with our One Best Consult Tip of the Week on what principles do you operate your business. So I remind you that a video cast of the show will be posted on Wednesday at our website. That's bestconsult.com. And again, thank you to Carla. Thank you for joining us. Great information. A great part of our city. So I hope you'll stay with us. We'll be back shortly to continue with the second half of the weekly business hour.
Don't miss Lone Star Community Radio on TV and YouTube. Our talk show and music shows are featured on Our City TV, Suddenlink Channel 12, and have their own YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with posted shows and comment on them below the video.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with the Lone Star Community Radio.
What can the Better Living for Texans program do for you? You can learn how to increase your consumption of fruits and vegetables, choose foods that are relatively inexpensive and good to eat, make your food dollars last longer, prepare quick, nutritious meals, help your children learn how to eat healthier snacks, and much more. Our program is committed to helping people like you improve your health through providing research-based nutrition education in a friendly, cost-free, and relaxed environment. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Second Saturday Divorce Workshop provides unbiased information to help you understand your options and move forward with your life. This divorce workshop is for you if you are contemplating divorce, in the process of divorce, already filed for divorce, or post-divorce. You will explore the emotional, legal, and financial aspects of divorce from professionals who have guided others through divorce. For more information on this divorce workshop, contact SecondSaturdayWoodlands.com or call 832-375-0900.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
Does volunteering at a nonprofit horse sanctuary sound wonderful? Or are you a veteran or a veteran spouse and think trying a peer group session through a local Horses and Heroes equine program might be worth trying? Henry's Home Horse and Human Sanctuary, located in Grand Central Park by appointment only, is home to a growing number of rescued and donated horses. Visit our website at henryshomehorsesanctuary.org or check out our Facebook at Henry's Home Horse and Human Sanctuary for more information.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour. Rick Schissler, I'm your host. Thank you for listening to us today, and we're back in the second half of today's program. And before we get started with our quick thought, I want to remind you of a couple things. One is you can find a podcast, video cast of the show on YouTube, Facebook. Just look for the Weekly Business Hour page. You also can go to the website of irlonestar.com. That's irlonestar.com. Click on the weekly shows, and you'll find the Weekly Business Hour. And we also have a copy of the show, the podcast, posted there as well. And that'll be about Wednesday of every week that shows up. I encourage you that if you missed part of our interview with Carla Alsandor, that you take the time to listen to it. It's exciting to hear about this new educational opportunity that's available to us, our employees. They've got all kinds of programs, and you just need to go to their website and check out the University of St. Thomas Max Center.com, and you'll see all the opportunities they offer. Also, a reminder that your business can sponsor the Weekly Business Hour. If you're in business in Montgomery County or in the area, just send me an email at bestconsult@gmail.com. That's the number 1, bestconsult@gmail.com. And I'll send you a little bit of information. We love our sponsors. Lone Star Community Radio is a nonprofit. Some of you know that. So being a sponsor means you're making a donation. So it's a way to write off the investments you make in your business and in the Lone Star Community Radio. Well, quick thought. How do you market problem solving? This is something that I find a lot of business owners, business managers miss, that when you're selling your product or your services, what you really want to be selling almost across the board is that you're offering something. You're offering a product or service that solves the buyer's problem or problems. In other words, the buyer has a need. For an example, say you own this office building. And you need a cleaning service. You need it cleaned up. You need the trash emptied. So you're going to look for a commercial cleaner. Someone will come in on a regular basis, whatever you decide is needed, and they will clean. They'll sweep the floors. They'll clean the bathrooms, empty the trash, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you go looking for that service, other than a referral from someone, which is a great place to find any business to do business with, typically referrals, people who have actual experience doing business with that person, is that you're going to look for someone at least that their messaging or your initial contact and from there on says, hey, we're here to solve problems. And you need to have a mindset. You need to dedicate yourself and focus when you do your marketing, advertising, all the aspects of marketing. It's all about the customer, and you need to have the ideal customer, and we've talked about that more than once on this show over the years. Have the ideal customer in mind, that when you put your marketing together, that you are selling, you are talking about, you're leading them down the road to be a customer with you based on you're going to solve their problem. And it's imperative that your message is directed to them and that it resonates with them. Those are the two requirements of the message advertising, whatever, that it's going to appeal to them. It's because it's directed to the customer. It's not a message that says, hey, we're a great company, we do this well, we've done, here are our red on white and black with, colors and all the things that people really tend to focus on when they put a piece, say, advertising together, is the message that's there. It says, hey, we can solve your problem. Ways to do that, make sure, as I've alluded to several times, first make sure that the message revolves around their problems. It's not just enough to be a problem solver, right? And a lot of this is obvious, but make sure that you're solving the problem that these potential customers have, and you talk about that problem. And that sometimes can be difficult to determine, but a simple way to do it, if you can step up and do it is talk to your existing customers. It's always good to have 2, 3, 5, 10 customers. And I was talking to a business owner here locally recently, and in her business, she has 3 or 4 customers that she gives a discount on the services. In return, from time to time, she's able to communicate with them, talk to them, pick their brain about what's going on with the service, what's important. She devises her message based on that feedback, the feedback from others, so that she can get it right and she can deliver a message that solves problems. Your message should be clear and concise so that there's little doubt by the folks that read or hear your message that you can help them if they buy your product or service. Concise and to the point. There's no doubt about it. Makes a huge, huge difference in any kind of message that you're trying to convey. And last but not least, remember, it's almost like, okay, we're standing there, we're looking out in the future, we're sitting behind a desk, we're, okay, what do I do to market my business? What do I do to increase sales revenue? And the first thing, or sort of the natural push is, well, I'm going to talk about my business. It's my baby. I mean, it just sort of pulls you that direction. And you've got to overcome that. And that's the third thing I want to mention is you must look at your content and read it from the perspective of someone who's reading it outside of your operation. In other words, a potential customer. And then refocus that message on the customer and the problems that they want to be solved. It's that direct. It's that simple, in my opinion. Make sure that this happens in your business and you offer problem solving through your marketing. Well, the mailbag. We had a great email that came in first part of last week, and it was from Carl, and he talked about the wage situation, which if you read any publication, you hear about wages, and you read about the large corporations like Amazon raising their entry-level wage. And these wages now are starting to creep past $15 and in some cases $20. Okay, and one of the things that Carl mentions, and it's really the big challenge of any wage increase across the board, is you have to raise everybody's wages almost. When you raise your entry-level wage like this, the wage you're offering new employees, then the word gets around, right? So you've got to be willing to raise your other people. So all of a sudden your expense, the cost of labor, can take a significant jump. I was reading the opportunity Walmart going to $14 in how that changes. Their average wage across categories of employees went from $17 to $17.50. That's 50 cents. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that 50 cents, I mean, how many employees do they have? Over 1 million. 50 cents times 1 million, right? 500,000. I mean, $500,000, I don't care. That's significant to Walmart. Very interesting, very interesting. I've got a couple ideas of how to meet this challenge because it's happening around us. First of all, ask yourself the honest question. Do you compete for employees with Walmart, Costco, Amazon, all the ones we're reading about across the country? The point was made that, Walmart is concentrated Midwest, Southeast. There are parts of the country that there is no Walmart. So if they raise their wage, it really doesn't matter other than someone in your area may read it and say, gosh, look at that. Well, where's the Walmart? There is no Walmart. So be sure that you are actually competing with these businesses that are out there making national headlines. Second thing is raise your production standards. In other words, become more efficient. So if you're going to pay more, it only makes sense that you should get more, right? You can do that. A lot of times, unless you monitor on a regular basis, your production standards, you'll lose track of them. You'll lose track of your business and have some benchmarks in your business. I talk about this all the time with clients. Benchmark, and it could be different for every business, but you benchmark certain factors, figures, percentages that apply to your business. And yes, it takes a little bit of time to develop those benchmarks, but I find it almost impossible to efficiently run a business unless I have my operational benchmarks that I'm shooting for every hour of every day, every week, every month. These are things that I'm trying, these are factors. Have one on labor, and what your benchmark is, percentage of labor is the thing is, I believe, and the third thing I want to point out is develop a long-term pricing strategy. And you say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm just a small business. I got 5, 10, 15 employees. You want me to have a pricing strategy? Well, just look out 3 years. And you know you're going to have to raise your people on some kind of basis, even if you're not, subject to what's going on at Walmart. I mean, it just naturally, normally, you look at inflation, and there are some worthy projections of inflation out there, 6%, 5%, 2%, and you can put it together. You're not putting this in stone, but evaluate the total cost of your employees, the benefits, the wages, everything. Develop a percentage of revenue. So as I've been in a business, retail service business, where percentage of labor was like 39%, 42% of every dollar that came in went to labor. Retail service, very intense amount of labor in producing performing the services as well as working directly with the customers. Your percentage will be different, but find out what it is. If you have access and can find on the internet or anywhere what your industry has, that's always an eye-opener to a lot of businesses when typically they find that their cost of some particular area in their overall cost, and in this case labor, is way up compared or way above what their industry is. But my point is, have that number, and then as you check labor cost on your monthly, your quarterly financials, you can compare it, and if that percentage that you're actually hitting now is higher, then you realize you've got to make some adjustments. I always assume that you've adjusted all your other expenses. People run around like with their hair on fire, trying to cut this, cut that, I cut this, no more bottled water, this, that's fine. That should have already been managed, in my opinion. It's going to be the revenue, and perhaps an increase in your revenue. Perhaps having that pricing strategy I talked about that you're going to do anyway, that you're going to raise your price 3% this year and be able to justify it. My point is, know your cost, your labor cost, and then you're able to raise. And again, this is an extraordinary raise for a lot of people. A couple bucks an hour in the case of Walmart. That's extraordinary. And you may have to do some more adjusting. You may have to raise that price higher. You may have to raise it today and then raise it in 9 months. I mean, there are strategies available that you can develop even yourself. A lot of information out there. So there are ways, Carl, to work your way through this wage increase. It's not a magic solution. It's not overnight by any means. But if you know your numbers and you raise your production standards, getting more in the same hour, the same day from people, more production, perhaps with even fewer people. It's another example, but that should have already been done. But if you haven't done it, do these things, and then you'll be able to afford to be competitive in bringing new people into your business. We're going to take a final quick break for the day, and when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about my best consult tip of the week on what principles do you operate your business.
Vail Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit, began in 2014 with a mission to strengthen the future of veterans through leadership and entrepreneurship training. We've invested over 1,400 hours of training in our veterans while connecting them with community entrepreneurs and leaders. Our mission is to continue investing in our veterans who have given so much for our country. Please join us in our mission by visiting velinstitute.org. That's VELinstitute.org.
A Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. Hope you've enjoyed the show thus far. Want to remind you once again before we finish for the day that you too can sponsor the Weekly Business Hour. Really would appreciate the opportunity to send you a little bit of information. It makes a lot of sense to connect your business with the Weekly Business Hour as well as Lone Star Community Radio, since Lone Star is the community radio that serves Montgomery County. It's nonprofit, so the opportunity is there for you to become a sponsor, treat it as a donation on your taxes. So that's a great way to connect with community radio and support the community that we all live and work in. If you have questions, send me an email. Send it here to the station. It's Rick, R-I-C-K, at irlonestar.com. That's Rick at irlonestar.com, and I'll send you some sponsorship information. Well, the One Best Consult Tip of the Week. I entitled it on what principles do you operate your business? Now, there's mission statements, there's vision statements. These are things that used to be real popular 5, 10, 15 years ago. You still see them, particularly with large companies and some small companies. And what I really like about the fact of small companies, small businesses like yours, is the fact when you do something like this, if you really do it right, is you're taking some time to think about your business and what it is that you, the owner of the business, want to offer. How do you want your business to be perceived to the public and your, of course, customers, your vendors, as well as your employees. So I think it is, I won't say imperative, but basically, in my opinion, it's required to do a little bit of thinking and spend a little bit of time deciding what principles you're going to operate your business on. And let me offer a couple examples. And there are just many principles out there, principles of good business, of being a good business, a great business in the marketplace as well as the community. The first one I really feel is a great one for any business to be a part of what their principles are, and that's integrity. Integrity in your business, in your dealings, everything that happens in the business. Integrity in your hiring, integrity in the way you treat people, your employees, your customers, your vendors. How do you address issues that come up in your business, especially, again, related as it relates to your employees and your customers? How do you treat people when there's an issue, when there's a problem? And we all know the stories, some of them horror stories of how a customer was treated when they had a problem with a service or product. To me, this is not brain surgery. It's simple and straightforward. Perhaps in some of those cases, the individuals, the owners, the ones responsible for that customer service didn't consider, well, what's the integrity of this business? You know, do what you say when you're going to do it. Treat your customers as you would want them to treat you. A couple ideas of how to get your arms around this if you haven't. Admit your mistakes quickly and do your best to make it right, even if it costs you. Take a look at the great businesses. You know what they are. You know the great businesses in your own community. There have been books written about larger companies and corporations and what causes them to be a great business. Integrity is right there in the middle of it all. Always hire and keep good employees. Well, that kind of self-serving, but you'd be amazed, especially when you have a labor market like we have today. Take a pulse. We used to joke about this when I was with our family business. Take a pulse, and if they have a pulse, put them to work on the counter, working with your most valuable asset or resource, your customers. And they got a pulse. What's going on? Be slow to hire, quick to fire. Wrong employees can damage the relationship with your customers and create strife within your organization. I mean, we should know these things. Most of you do. But consider that all goes back to hiring someone in most cases and what kind of job, what steps you go through to make sure that you have a good fit. Very, very interesting. Other principles are accountability, gratitude, faith. I mean, there are just lots of principles to work from. But I feel integrity is one, and then that hiring and keeping good employees. Those are two of the most important from my perspective, from my experience, is hiring good people because they are the heartbeat of most every business. And, you know, when you have a bad apple, you have somebody that something's happened and you need to fire them. If you don't, it's sucking the emotional energy out of you and the other people that are potentially being affected by this bad character, by this bad apple. And we all make mistakes in hiring. But if you have good processes, you pay attention, you'll have fewer mistakes. Put together a plan for finding, hiring, training, and keeping your best employees. It's so critical. And it's amazing, at least in my journey, how when I find or see or do business with a really good or great business, this is one of the things, if you look behind the curtain, that you're going to see that they're doing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you taking time to join us today. I want to thank Carla Alsandor particularly for taking time to come by and talk about the University of St. Thomas Max Center, located right here in downtown Conroe at the corner of Davis and Main. Again, I think the best location for any business in the city is that corner, and the University of St. Thomas is right there waiting to serve you with a bevy of educational opportunities, lunch and learn programs, and they're the most wonderful, open people. So nice to visit them, to attend a program. I encourage you, check on their calendar and see if a program appeals to you or perhaps an educational opportunity. And I ask you, put a note on your calendar. Join us next week right here on the Weekly Business Hour, 11 a.m. And until next week, do me a favor, and I say this every week, stay engaged and always keep your focus on what counts in your business. Thanks.